Hi, my name is Mike Nicolero, and today I'm going to be talking about preserving the biodiversity of the world that we live in. So you might ask, what is biodiversity? Biodiversity is the amount of different species we have living in the world, and we're not talking about just animals, we're also talking about plants and any other living organisms that we have on Earth. So the counter-argument to this would be that we need to exploit the natural resources that we have on the Earth, that they're here for a reason, that we need to use them to their fullest extent. A mental aspect that people have is that you only live one life on Earth, so why not live to the fullest, expend whatever you can, use for your own needs, when really you have to worry about the future and your children and the population to come. So, one way we can utilize not only endangered species but the biodiversity of the world would be that through natural medicine. There are estimated 250,000 plant species on Earth, and only 5% of species on Earth have been screened for pharmaceutical properties. What this means is that there's only 5% of the Earth's species, which is this biodiversity that we're talking about, there's only 5% of them that have been really thoroughly looked at for properties that can help with natural medicine. One specific example is a South American leech that produces enzymes and other sort of chemicals. Antistatin came from this, which is an anti-cancer agent, and also some anti-blood clot remedies. Tree barks have yielded things as important as aspirin. And now we go into genes. We're talking genes now. And I say genes as in literally your DNA, your gene bank. So a term I'm going to be using is genetic variability, which means not only that your DNA is different, but that you're displaying different phenotypes, it's called. You're displaying different character traits. So this genetic variability that exists within the population is being destroyed by people who are making things such as GM crops, which is genetically modified crops. And the downside to that is when you have something that's an entire crop that's genetically the same, when the entire crop is very vulnerable to one predator, one disease, something that'll wipe it out, a plague of some sort. But when you preserve the natural gene bank, you have all of these different variations. One will survive and that one will thrive, and the species will live on. When it's great to exploit what we have, the science today, and amplify a gene or a trait that will maybe make your corn grow taller or make it grow more corn on a stalk. And we can take advantage of that because we have a rich gene pool. But when they're ruling out all of these genes with GM crops, you're losing this genetic variability. Some examples again, there's an Ethiopian barley that they found, in Ethiopia of course, that they found a gene that they're using in trees all the way in California to prevent this yellow dwarf disease from killing them. Again, the lumber industry is big because you want the most hardy trees you can get. So again, there are genes in the natural gene bank of the world that are being utilized to grow these trees that are especially helpful to the lumber industry. So how are we hurting these natural treasures that we have? Deforestation, of course, is a big one. Deforestation as in not only is cutting down the trees destroying the habitat of animals, but we get this carbon. Trees are mostly made up of carbon. Thus, when we're cutting down trees, when they fall to the ground and we're burning them or we're doing whatever we're doing, we're releasing all this carbon into the atmosphere. Trees are the huge storage of carbon in the world, and when this all comes into the atmosphere, the sun heats up this carbon, and we have the global warming effect, as you all are familiar with the global warming effect. So again, through deforestation, global warming is occurring, which again, hurting all of these species on Earth, threatening biodiversity. Something specific now, habitat fragmentation, is when, you can see in this picture here, we have this entire forest, and there's little sections of the forest that are sort of taken out. They're saying, oh, we can preserve certain spots of this forest and maybe help this habitat, help this ecosystem. Really what that's doing is killing it faster. When you cut off certain little sections, the entire system gets knocked out of whack. This habitat fragmentation phenomenon sort of thing occurs, and all of the little spots just die out even faster. It's like a vortex almost. And again, the obvious: poaching, hunting, overfishing, hurting the environment. So protecting the world's ecosystems, that's how we preserve this biodiversity. So you think ecosystem, you think it's where animals live. But that's really something that's falsified in many people's minds. Because in ecosystem, we're not only talking the place where an animal lives, but also the relationship, not even an animal, an organism, the relationship between an organism and its environment. So organisms, they reside in ecosystems, and they reside in specific niches within these ecosystems, which is the exact spot where they reside, as in this diagram over here we have trees, and you can see the upper canopy, middle canopy, lower canopy labeled, and you might have a newt in the lower canopy that needs to live there because it needs to be moist, while you'll have a lizard sunbathing itself on the upper canopy, different niches within this ecosystem. And they might have a relationship with each other. One might feed off the predator of another and balance out the predator-prey sort of ratio going on and keep everything in balance. It's the ecosystem. So hence, by protecting the world's ecosystems, we can protect the natural treasures, and through the gene bank that is within the earth, and also the natural medicine that is provided for us by Mother Earth herself. My works cited. Any questions?